So we have seen the Python basics. We have seen the data types. We have seen the basic features of Python. We have also seen how to write a program interactively, right, and how to compile a program. We have seen the loops, and also we have seen the functions, right? So any questions from that? So what are the data types available in Python? Okay, so we have numbers, strings, lists, tuples,
dictionaries, yes.
Right, so these are the
data types.
Data. And what's the difference between list and tuple?
Tuple is immutable.
List is immutable.
Can be edited.
Immutable. Right? We can edit the list. We cannot edit the tuple. Lists are enclosed in between the square brackets. Tuples are enclosed in between the normal brackets. Right? So what is dictionary? Dictionary is a key value pair. We can store the keys and the values inside the dictionary. Keys have to be unique. Values we can have duplicate values, right? How do I find out a data type of a variable? Okay, let me log into background machine. How do we find out data type of a variable? Right. So I have defined a dictionary. Right. So I want to find out the what is the data type of this dictionary. So what is the function we use to find out the data type of the dictionary? It is type. Type of A will give me either it's a dictionary, it's a list, or it's a tuple, right? So what is a list? Collection of heterogeneous elements, right? Type of A will be a list. So the same thing I can declare it as a tuple as well, right? So in case of tuple, we cannot edit the value. So A of 0 will give me the first element, which is 1, and if I want to change it to something like ABC, this will throw error saying that it does not support the item assignment, right? Whereas in case of lists, you can edit the value, right? Lists are mutable, tuples are immutable, right? So when to use lists, when to use tuples, when to use lists, when to use tuples.
I think this when. Okay, go ahead, Lakshmi.
Yeah. When it continuous data updates, when write once and read many times, that you can use tuples.
Right. So lists we can use if we want to write the data often, and tuples are used when we want to, when we do not want to change the data once it is written, right? And what is indentation in a Python program?
Format of the syntax.
So basically, when we write the Python program, we need to follow the indentation. So either we need to follow the tab or spaces consistently across the program, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I had a chance to look at the video because I wasn't able to attend the classes. So the script is like just simple script and .py, right? And how you convert that script into a function? Is it a different format or is it? I don't remember.
Sorry, I didn't get you. Can you repeat?
For the script, you can write the script and make it at .py as an extension, right?
Okay.
How you convert that script as a function?
Okay, so basically you want to call a function which is in the other script. This way?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll come to that. Yeah. So we also covered the functions. So how do we define a function? We define a function using definition function, and we define the function here, right? And then we use the tag and we write the function definition here. And how do we call the function? We call the function simply function, and this way, right? We can also have the variables a comma b and something like a comma b, and we can perform the operations inside the function, right? So let us say I want to define a function here. So we define something like the definition. Let us say multiply. I want to have two arguments, a comma b, and I write something like, let us say multiplication is equal to a star b, right? So this function is defined. Now if I want to call the function, I can simply call multiply, let us say 2 comma 3. Multiply, sorry, I'm not printing the value, right? So let me define it again. If multiply a comma b and use a tab, multiply is equal to a star b, and then print multiply. This will print the result, right? So if I want to call it multiply 2 comma 3, like, so this will list the result, right? So if the same thing, if I write inside a, let us say function, so I just call it as a function dot py and I start writing the code, right? So bin python, so I'll add a comment, a function program, right? Then we can define the function. Let us say function add, right? And here when I start writing the code, let's say I also want to take the variables, and then let us say sum is equal to a plus b, right? And then print sum. In the similar way, I want to add another function. Let us say difference. So just for example, a comma b, and then I say if is equal to a minus b, and print def, right? So def, and then say multiply a comma b, and then say multiplication is equal to a star b, and print multiply. Like the same way, def divide a comma b, and division is equal to a divided by b, print div, right? So I want to execute this script. So let us say I want to take inputs from the user and execute the script, right? So or let us say similar functions are grouped together, and this function I want to call from the other script, right? So this is a script, let us say we'll name it as a arithmetic.py, and inside any program I should be able to use this script, right? So function can be reused, but function can be reused within the same script. So I have a script of 100 lines, right? And I have defined function somewhere inside the script this way, and I can reuse the function inside the script anywhere. If I just call function with some arguments, this function will be called and can be executed, right? So but I want to have all the functions grouped together, all the similar functions, and I should be able to call the function from anywhere inside the machine. From the machine, I should be able to call it, right? So inside the script, I can directly call. But let us say this is script 1, and I'm using another script to write some other program, and I want to use function from the script 1. Right? So how do we use this function in another script? So if I directly call, it will not work because it will expect the script to be present in the same script, right? So what is the way to call function from other script? Okay, so for this we have something called modules. So this module is nothing but a collection of similar functions grouped together, right? So now I have all the functions defined inside module, let us say module1.py, right? And these functions, let us say all the similar functions are grouped here, function 1, function 2, function 3. And what I can do is I'm writing a script called, let us say, script123.py. Now I want to use this module inside the script because there are all the functions defined in the module1.py. So what do I do is I just say import module1. This will import all the functions inside the module, right? And I can directly call the function using the same name and with the arguments, right? So this will go to the module and it will call the function and it will return the result, right? So what is the keyword to be used to use the functions from other script? We need to group the functions together and we need to call it as a module, and that module we can use inside the script using import statement. Is this clear?
Yes.
Okay, so I have all these functions defined. Let me call this as a module. So I'll just move this function to module1.py. Okay, so I have module1.py now. So we can either open another script and call this module, or just for testing whether the syntax is fine or not, what I'll do is I'll go to interactive Python and then I say import module1, right? So if I say import module1, I can use any of these functions from here, right? And so there are two kinds of module. One is system defined module, right? And these are the defined by Python itself. So by default, when we install the Python, we get a lot of modules, right? So something like OS, system, str, sys, str, time, subprocess, expect, SSH, threading. Okay, so these are some of the modules which can be used, right? And logging. So by default, these are available from the system. You can directly call the module as import OS or import type, right? So there will be a lot of functions associated with each module, right? So what is the other module? Commands. So these are some of the modules which are already available in the system. We can directly use the functions inside the module, right? And these are something called user defined module. These are the module which we define. So I just defined a module called module1, right? So there are functions, some customized functions I'm already using, just for example, right? So there can be a project specific modules which we can define inside the server and use it, or we can also use the modules from here, right? So let us try to use it. So module1 is imported. Now if I just call add 2, 3, so while calling the function, we need to call something like module dot the function, module dot function, because this function name can be same across the different modules. So we need to use something called module1. This is my module dot function name. Let us say module1 dot diff 3 comma 2. So this will give the difference. In the same way, multiply. In the same way, divide. Let us say 3 comma 5. Right. So I'm using functions from the different script in the other script. Is this clear?
Yes.
Okay. So let us say I want to use this inside the script, right? So I have module1.py where all the programs, all the functions are defined, and I can write a script. Let us say script 123.py, and I can include that module inside this module, inside this script, right? So module 1. So the first statement will be import OS import. So these are some of the required modules which we can use. OS system, time, import login, etc. Right? Then I can directly say, I can ask the user to enter the input parameters. How do I ask the user to enter something?
Read.
That is in shell script. What is the function to read a value from the keyboard?
Input.
A is equal to input, enter a value, right? So B is equal to, let us say input, enter another value, right? And then we can something like call the function. Let us say I'll just say module 1 dot sum of a comma b. Okay, so this is a sample function. So it goes to the module 1 and it executes the function, right? So I just created a function and I'll just change name of the function as script123.py. And if I execute the script123.py, no module named login, typo.
I think you did not import module 1.
Right, yeah, import module 1. Enter a value, let us say 3. Module has no attribute sum. What did I specify in the module? It's not sum, it's a add. So there is no function with the name sum defined. That is what was throwing the error, right? So script123.py. So this will print the value. So we have written in the interactive way also, and we have also written in the scripted manner, right? So like this we can write the script. So now let me go to the interactive program and say import OS, right? And help OS. So this will give the help page of the module, and this will have lot of functions which we can use inside the programs, right? So these are the by default some keywords which it will provide. We can directly use them, right? So there is something called, let us say I want to execute a command on the machine from the Python program, right? So OS start system LSIFNLRT. So OS is the module, system is the command, sorry, system is the function, the files which are present in the current directory, right? So from the Python program, we are executing sorry, a command, right? So like this, there will be so many modules which we can use. Let us say import time, right? If I just say time dot time, there is a function, what is that? Time dot async time or something. Yeah, this will give time in the milliseconds format. So this is actually the time from the first Unix system is developed in seconds, right? You can see that in the time module. So these are the functions which we can use from the time module. So time dot clock, time dot sleep, time dot GM time, right? Time dot local time. So these are the different formats which it gives us. So this is to change the time zone of a machine, right? So these are the let us say sleep. It will sleep for few seconds. If I just do time dot sleep 10, will sleep for the 10 seconds, right? Okay. Let us try that. What is the time dot GM time? So this will give time in the year, month, date, and hours format. Okay. So import commands is another module, right? So this will also executes a particular command on the machine, and we want to get that command output inside another variable, right? So this will just execute the command, but it will not capture the output inside another variable. So if we want to get the command, execute the command, and get the output of that command, we can use commands module, right? So again, I'll see help commands. Commands dot get status, right? There is get status output. Yeah, this one, get status output. So this will give, let us say I want to execute a command, commands dot get status output, and I can specify the command here, ls-lrt slash. So this command will be executed, and the output will be stored in, let us say I give a string here, str is equal to, then if I say print str, it will print the output of the command, right? Let us say str is equal to command start get status output, and then let us say something like cat script 123.py print str. So the same script will be printed. The script 123 from the current directory will be printed, right? So like this, there are a lot of modules which we can use inside the scripts, right? OS, sys. These are some system related functions. str is some string manipulations functions. Time we have seen, and there is something called subprocess. So as part of the automation, end-to-end automation, most of the time what we need to do is we will have one server, right? Centralized server, and we'll have a lot of clients, right? So we need to execute the commands on the multiple clients. So we can do that using tools like Ansible, Chef, Puppet, etc. Right? So using the cookbooks, playbooks, and all, or we can also use the Python script to automate everything, right? So as part of this, we need to, let us say I want to do some automation. So from server, first I need to log into a remote machine, right, and execute something and give the result or parse the result as per the requirement, right? So we need to log into the machine, execute something, and maybe get the result, get the written code, validate the result whether it's successful or not using the loop. So this kind of tasks we perform using for automation, right? So subprocess is a module that will execute the command on the remote node. Right. So there are some syntax like, let us say, P is equal to subprocess dot P open, then the command which you want to execute, right? And then there are some options, shell equal to true, shell equal to false. Okay. And what happens is, so this will execute the command on the local machine. Right. So if you want
Santosh, what is P open?
So subprocess is the module, P open is a function inside the module. So this will open a process and it will execute that particular command. Okay. There are many functions inside the module, right? So subprocess P call, subprocess.p open. Yeah, I'll come to that. Okay. Subprocess.p open. So we can use the commands that get output also. We can use OS.system also. But if you want to execute something remotely, we need to use subprocess.p open. So what it will do is, let us say SSH, and I can give something like this, SSH-l root, comma, and the machine name, let us say machine name is client123, right? And you want to execute a command called something, let us say uname -ma, right? And let us say shell equal to true. So this is a command. Subprocess is the module, popen is a function from inside it, and I want to go to this node and execute some command and come back, right? So what happens if I execute this command between a server and client123 for the first time?
It's going to ask the password.
Right, so it will ask the password. So first we need to make sure that to automate it, the password is passwordless authentication is set up between the master and the slave, in server and the client, right? If that is done, then this command gets executed and it will give the result, right? So there are two machines, and if you execute subprocess.p open, this will log into that machine using SSH, and it will execute the command and it will give the result back. It will give the return status, error code, it will give the output, right? And that it also give, in case of error, it will also give the error message, right? So subprocess is a module from Python. popen is a function from subprocess module that will go and execute this command on the remote machine, and it gives the output of this command, right? So let us say we have two machines, or we have, let us say, storage. So there is a server storage, right? And we need to log into the storage and create a volume, right? So all these things are done by the configuration management tools, right? So what they actually do internally, they do this actually. So if you see Ansible, Ansible is written in Python. So Python scripts are written like this. They internally, it uses a lot of modules and it will go and perform the task and come back, right? So the same thing now we are doing, we are writing a script and executing the command. When we say Ansible some command, Ansible all -m some module if we give, that command will actually get executed using this kind of modules inside the Python, right? So maybe subprocess it will use, because passwordless authentication is already set up, so it will just go ahead and execute the command on the remote node, right? And it will give the output in a specific format. So in the same way, this is between the two servers, right? And if the password authentication is already set up, it will not ask the password. It will go ahead and execute the command and give the result. But if it is a something like a storage, how do we log into a machine? Let us say it will not give a SSH prompt. It will give some other prompt, right? Something like this, it will be there. And here we can execute some commands. So there is a module called pexpect. This is interactive to execute the interactive commands, or to write interactive scripts. So what do you mean by interactive scripts? Let us say I need to provide the password inside the script. So when I log into the machine, it will ask the password, and thus that password I need to provide inside the script itself. So it will go ahead and execute the SSH command. Let us say SSH-l root and the client 123, right? And then it will ask the password, right? So this password I want to enter from a script, right? So this is interactively when it gives password prompt. Let us say it will enter ABC123, and the prompt comes back to this, right? So when the prompt comes back to this, I need to execute a command, right? Or I need to pass a variable, or I need to execute some specific command, create volume 123 with size is equal to 1 GB, right? And just to exit and come back. This kind of scenarios will be there in the real time, right? So we need to log into a machine, we need to give the password, we need to execute a command, and we need to come out of the script, right? So for that, we use a module called pexpect, right? Did you understand the difference between subprocess and the pexpect? Pexpect is to write the scripts interactively. Subprocess is to execute a command directly on the machine slave. Is this clear?
Yes, Santosh.
Yes.
Yeah, I think this pexpect is just open the remote console in your local console, right?
Right. So it logs into the machine and it interactively executes the command. So
Just
basically,
like in just like in Ansible, we have that one of the options too. I think that was raw RAW or something like that, or we were able to open the remote shell in our local shell, right?
uh, in Ansible, did we open remote shell?
Yeah.
I don't remember, because we already set up the passwordless authentication, so we don't even have to open it. It will automatically execute the commands, and we have not used this kind of scenario, I think, in any
No.
class. No. So here,
Okay.
what happens is, we are expecting something, spanning something, and sending something, right? So this is a kind of advanced automation. So this is what happens is, so let us say the prompt is bash here. Prompt is like this. Okay. So when I write a script, what I do is something like this: import we expect module, right? And then we call, let us say, we expect dot span. So this will go and execute a command, let us say ssh-l root client 123, and there is no passwordless authentication setup between the servers. Immediately what will happen? It will ask for the password, right? So I am expecting that something like expect prompt. What is that password? So this has to be exactly similar, like the syntax, or if it is a capital P or small p, this has to be similar, because what it will do internally is it will execute this command locally and it returns this thing, this prompt. So it expects the exact prompt, and if this prompt is matched, then it will send another command. So I'll say send root 123 or abc 123. Okay, so what happens is this will be written on the console. First SSH will be done, then the machine itself will give a prompt called password, then we send abc123 from our end, right? So this will be executed. Then again we can expect a prompt. So what is the prompt we get now? We get something like bash, right? And when the bash is expected, send a command. Let us say ls-lrt, right? And then again expect bash. The terminal will be back, right? So this kind of interactive programming we can do using expect. Once ls-lrt is executed, I want to come back just to exit 0, right? So we'll be inside our machine. So did you get it? This kind of interactive program we can do using the expect. So what do? Is we log into the remote machine using this command, and we enter the password, and then we send, we expect the password, we send the password here, and we are again expecting a terminal there, which is something like a bash, and then execute this, and then execute multiple commands like this, parse through the commands, check whether the return status is success or not. So this kind of interactive programming we can do using expect module. Is this clear? Is this clear?
Yeah.
Let me show you sub-process. So this is exactly the sub-process command syntax. Subprocess.p open and some command. It can be SSH or RSH, and this is the machine name. Let us say client and the command. So here we can give the command. Let us say ls-lrt and stdout. This is some syntax we need to use. Stdout equal to subprocess.pipe. Stdout equal to subprocess. So whenever there is an output or whenever there is an error, it will print on the console, right? And output comma error is equal to proc.communicate. So output will be stored in the output variable, error will be stored in the error variable, and then we can print either output or print the error.
Santosh, there should not be any comma between client and the command.
There will be here.
I think in the after yeah.
See, actually what happens is this command will be executed as it is. So SSH, first there has to be comma, then client, and then there is a space. So this command will be executed as it is. Okay. So error will have the return value of the this thing. In case of any error, it will throw the error. There is also something called print return code, right? So this written code will be something like proc.written code. So this written code we can validate. If it is successful, then throw it as a successful, something like if proc.written code is equal to 0, then I can say print command is successful, right? Else print command is failed. So this way I can write a script, right? So I'll just try to, let us see if I can execute this on a client.
Hey Santosh, the previous commands you're running like time and on the Python console, is there any prerequisite before running those commands like time? Because I'm trying to run that command like time OS. I'm not able to run those commands.
I think just we need to install the Python.
Python is there already. Yeah, I'm using the Python.
Did you import it?
You need to import the module.
Import.
I have to import the module first.
Yeah, import OS, import sys, import time we have to do.
Okay, on the console, just import first and then.
So like this Python prompt you have to open. Then
Yes,
you have
that's
to
all.
import. Or otherwise you need to write a script. In the script you need to import the module, right?
You also show, let's say, if I want to see any help from the what modules are available and what commands are available within the module. Is it just help command, help?
Yeah, it's a helper and the module name will give all the functions inside the module.
Okay, all right, thanks.
So I have client and I have server. Let me see if I ping client. Okay, client is pinging. Now I want to execute, let us say, command xsl root client ls-lrt. It is asking the password. So let me set a passwordless first. Okay, so passwordless is set up, and if I execute the command, it is giving this output from the remote machine, right? So now let us say if I want to automate this inside a script, right? So I'll just say subprocess, or we can write here, write it Python, then import subprocess, right? And then let us say the syntax proc equal to subprocess.popen. So this we can give anything. This is a variable ABC, XYZ, anything we can give var equal to subprocess.popen and basis. Inside that I'll give SSH, right? And then client ls-lrt command, right? And then close this. Okay, syntax error. Okay, let me define a command here first. So command is _RT, and now I'll give the command here.
I think you put this double closing brackets.
Oh, sorry. Oh, okay, I think I have given the module name as wrong. Subprocess. Client is not defined. Okay, I need to. Okay, let me give the IP. It is not able to find the IP address of the. It's not added in etc host. Okay, so this command is executed. Now pros.communicate, then proc.output. Sorry, just output. Proc.communicate. What is the command to give? Output comma error is equal to communicate. Okay, this we need to give. So output comma error is equal to proc.communicate. So this we need to give after executing the command. So now output will have the output. So this output is from the remote machine, and error will have nothing because there is no error. If I execute this with a wrong command, let us say cmd is equal to some junk command, if I give some mistake, right? And then if I execute this command and execute this, and if I say output, there is nothing, and error, command not found. So this is actually from the remote machine, right? So what is happening here, subprocess.popen is actually opening a session with the remote machine, and it is executing a command, and it's returning the output and the error. Is this clear?
Yes.
Right. So inside a project, and then when we are doing some end-to-end automation, when there are a lot of machines, when something has to be done on some machine, we can write scripts like this to automate. So Ansible does internally all these things for us. So we don't have to write a script for that because we have Ansible. But if you want to do some modules and all some customization, we can use these scripts, right? So in a similar way, we can also use pexpect using import pexpect, pexpan, expect. So span is like it will send the command and it will wait for the output to be returned, right? And then when we get this on the prompt, right? So something like, let us say, SSH-l root client, right? If I execute this, I got the prompt of client. Now I want to execute a command, multiple commands here, and come back, right? So I need to write, let us say it is asking for the password for the first time. Right? So this is what it is returning for the first time. So this we need to expect. So when we execute a command, we have to expect the response. So this is the response from the remote server. So this we need to expect, and then we need to send the command. So we executed the command, then we need to expect this, right? Root at the rate client password. Then we execute, we give the password, let us say ABC123. Now ABC123 will be executed and we get a prompt like this, right? And then we need to expect this here, right? Then execute this command. then again expect this prompt, then exit 0. So this script will log into this machine. It will only provide the password, it will only execute the command, and then it will exit to our local machine. Is this clear? Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there are some other modules as well, as we discussed time, and then logging is to log into a file, right? So logging.log, we first need to import logging. So this is for logging. Let us say you're designing a framework. That framework will do something. So we need to have a configuration file as an input, and we need to have a log file that will log each and every operation we are performing in the main script, right? So there will be something called main.py, and in the main.py we define everything like import OS, import sys, and import some project specific module. Let us say module 1, module 2, and all, right? And this module will do some feature related to your project. Let us say project 1 has some feature, and that feature will be executed. That feature functionality is written in module 1, right? Project 1, let us say feature 2. And inside the module 1, what do we define? We have module 1.py, right? And inside that, we can define the functionality of the project, feature 1, right? So this will be executed on the machine, let us say. And inside the main.py, we have imported all the functions. Then we can log into a particular machine using modules like pexpect, and then we can execute the command inside the module, or perform some project related operation to come back. But here, what we need to also log the information. So for that, we need to again use the module called logging. So what will this will do? Logging.log will give, if you just say logging.log, operation XYZ is started, right? So like let us say feature execution is started. Feature execution XYZ is started. So this will it will automatically produce a log file, right? So in the log file, this we can name the log file. Let us say log underscore file is equal to xyz.log. So inside the xyz.log, it will append this line saying that feature execute xyz is started along with the timestamp, something like 2007 October 14th and 8:32, and let us say some seconds, milliseconds, and then it will write like this. So this is the default provided by the Python itself, right? So this will be useful after this automation is executed, this framework is executed, and if something is going wrong, if we want to debug, we can open this log file and see it. Is this clear? So there is also a module called threading, import threading. This is to execute the multiple commands or scripts parallelly. So again, Ansible uses this internally, import threading and threading dot, and there will be some kind of syntax, and then we execute a script, let us say ./script1, right? So let us say ssh-l root script1. In the same way, so I want to execute multiple scripts on multiple machines parallelly. This can be a script or a command, and I want to execute this on all the 10 machines parallelly. So this way, it will actually create an object and it will execute all these scripts parallelly on all the machines. Is this clear? To execute the scripts on different machines parallelly. Let us say this is client 1, and this is client 2, and this is client 3, and this is client Is it clear?
Yes, Santosh. Can we group all those clients and just run all like I don't know root? If we group something like from client 1 to 4, like
How do you group? I mean, SSH we cannot group in SSH, right? And we want to execute each command, separate command on each client, right?
okay, okay, yeah,
On the same
okay,
machine, you can group the commands, put inside a script word, all 100 commands you can put and just execute it. So it will directly execute. But what we want to do is, there is a separate script on each machine that has to be
okay,
executed parallelly, right?
okay,
Okay, so this is about modules. So modules are functions grouped, similar functions grouped together, and that module can be executed from anywhere. So this is for basically reusability, and the program looks modular, right? So you don't have to keep everything inside one program. We can have main program, and we can have features separately defined inside the modules, and we can just say import. So this module can be used multiple times. It can be reused multiple times anywhere. And this functionality we can use from the system module, right? Okay, so there is something called file operations in Python. So we can just open the file and we can read the file, write into the file, append the file. So there are, let us say, we open like this, file underscore handle is equal to open, and let us say there is a file called temp file 123, right? So programmatically, I want to read a file, I want to write into file, I want to append a file, right? And then file handle dot read. So this will read and print the output on the console, right? Something like print dot file dot read, right? Or if we want to write something into that file, right? So file underscore handle dot write. I just want to write something into file. So this kind of operations we can perform using the files. So when we open a file, if it is reading the open, there is something called mode, file opening mode. So if it is R, this is just for reading. We cannot write into the file, right? R is for reading. If I want to read and write, R plus, read and write into the file, right? In the same way, we have write. This will only write into the file, right? So if a file is already existing, and if we use W, and if we create a new file in the same file, it will overwrite the existing one, right? When we use W, it will open a file in the write mode, right? If the file is not there, it will create a new file. If the file is already existing, it will overwrite. I don't want to overwrite, I just want to append. So there is a module mode called A. This will append into the file, right? So when we say write into the file, it will overwrite the existing file. When we say A, it will append. So here the cursor of the file will be at the end. At the end of the file. So let us say there is a file and there are items like string 1, string 2, string 3. These are some contents of the file, right? And I want to open this file and I want to write something to this file. The file name is, let us say, file1. And if I open using a file handle, fh is equal to open. And here I write the file name, let us say file1. And let us say if I say write, and when I say fh dot write, and let us say I want to write something, hello world. So what happens? Since that file is already there and I'm writing write using write mode, this will overwrite the file with hello world content, right? Or if I use append what happens? The cursor will be placed at the end, and it will write hello world at the end, right? So this kind of file operations we can do. We can actually read the file. We can read the file line by line. We can split each line into different words using fh.split. We can read the file. We can list out the contents. All these operations we can do using files.
We
Santosh,
cannot create.
okay, Santosh, if you want to update any string in the file, like say IP address or something, what mode we have to do?
Update in the file means we need to write into the file.
Yeah, replacing some some text.
Yeah, so that what we need to do is, so let us say you have something like this. The IP address is, let us say 10.10.10.10. So this you want to replace inside the file. That is the file.
Yes.
Right? And there are multiple entries. Right? So what we need to do is, first we need to read the file. Read the file line by line. So there is a function called read line, and this is function handle.readLine. So this will get the each line line by line, and then we can split it. Let us say I'll just assign it to str, and this str we can split it. Str is equal to fh.readLine dot split. So this will split into different words, and we can write a while loop or for loop, while true, and then let us say you need to grep for, or we need to search for that particular read line and get the string. Let us say you're searching for the IP address, so we need to search for that IP address is, and then so how do you want to replace? You want to get a new IP, or let us say you have already IP defined here. Let us say new IP 11.11.11.11, and then you read it, and if you find that 10.10.10, so this is, I mean, simply in one line we cannot write. First we need to parse through each line and check whether there is 10.10.10 available, then write into another file and replace it using some command, and then maybe set something we need to use, os.system set, and replace that, and then come back. Maybe something like that we need to do. Okay. So I think I have somewhere the read line option.
Yes, and those can we, like, for example, in the same fashion. For example, if we want to change the IP, can we just go to like module OS, like call that module OS, I don't know, os.ip, and then IP, change IP in that fashion, instead of like going like editing the file? I mean, end of the day you editing the file, but is there a way the Python look at the OS and the OS IP and then change it to the new IP?
No. These are file operations, right? So this line we can split this way. So I am opening a file here, test file in the read mode. File equal to open, file name is test file, mode is read. So for line in file, words equal to line dot split, and this is splitting. This is all the words are printed here, right? So maybe we can extend this program to change that particular word into the other word, right? So this is read. This is read line, read by line. This is write, and this tell and seek is to get the cursor position.
Can we also create files, new files, or no?
Yeah, we can create. So
Okay.
Server. Okay, allowed into client. Okay, this is my server. So just say Python import OS import sys. Right. So I'll just say file hand is equal to open, and then I'll say slash temp file 12345. Some file I'm opening, and I want to create a new file, right? So I'll open in the write mode. Is okay, so we need to also give the mode in the commas, right? What is it? Okay, I have given this here, so I need to give like this, right? A file handle is opened. Now I can simply say fh.write hello world 12345, right? Oh, I did not close. Okay, so I have just written something to the hello world, a string to the file fh.read. Okay, so I opened the file for writing, so I cannot read it. Now I'll just come out and see if the file is created. Temp file 12345 and hello world 12345 is written, right, to that file. So we have created a new file, and you can see when is it created. 8. So it is just created before few seconds. Let us say I want to write into a file, and I want to read it also, right? So fh is equal to open slash temp file. What is the file name? So this is the file.
So those, if there is a file name already exists there, it's going to be overwrite that file?
Yeah, it will overwrite. If let me try first reading the file and writing into file, right? So I have opened in write plus mode, right? Again, invalid syntax. Okay, this I need to give. Okay, so I have opened the file in write plus mode. Then I can also read it. What is that? Print fh. File handle dot read line. Okay, I think it, see what happened is I opened the file in write plus mode. Since the file is already existing, it will overwrite. So there is nothing in the file now. Now, if I want to write something, fh dot write hello. So something is written to the file, fh dot read, or let me print it. Fh dot read line. I think I need to close it and say cat temp file 12345. See, this hello is written to the file and it is overwritten. Earlier hello world was there because I have written in write mode. So write mode will always overwrite if the file is existing, right? So let us say if I want to append into the file, so I need to open fh equal to open and let us say temp 12345, right, and open in the append mode. Read is for just reading, write is for writing, but it will overwrite if the file is already existing. Append is to, it will append at the end, right? So fh dot write, then I'll say hi, right? So this should fh dot close. So we need to close the file once we have performed the operation. Now if I come out, if I say temp file 12345, oh, this should overwrite, this should actually append. Somehow it is overwritten, right? That hello is overwritten. What is the file name I opened? Temp file 12345. File handle is equal to file slash temp file file and open in append mode. Effects.write. Is it write or effect.append? File.write lines. But the write also should work. Effect.close. Cat temp file 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, this is appended now. Hi is there and also hello world is there. When we use A, it will actually append it to the string. So the cursor will be at the end of the file, right?
And
Yeah,
it is appended in the beginning, right, Santosh?
No, hi was there in the beginning. Hello world is what we added. So it added at the end, right? So if we open the file for reading, it will just open for the reading only. We cannot write into the file. And if you open for writing, we can just write in. So in the same way, if we open for writing, if we also want to read it, then again we need to give W plus. In the same way, if we open for append, it will only open for the append mode. And if you want to read also during the append, we need to give A plus, right? That example we'll see probably tomorrow, that changing the IP, right? We have asked maybe how do we change one particular IP address inside a file. Okay, so we'll stop here.
Tomorrow you mean Monday, right?
We will have class tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll try to cover the Sunday Kubernetes.
Okay.
And VPC.
Okay. Santosh, I think let's talk tomorrow. I think, yeah.
Yeah, so more or less, I think we'll try to complete both tomorrow. Okay.
Just to recap for this file functions, the first thing is to import the file module, right? And run everything.
I think that by default it works. See, now I don't have imported. I did not import anything. I just say file h is equal to. It works actually. So.
Okay, so just Python console, just to go to the Python console and run those. Okay.
Or you can write in a script also. Let us say file.py. You just have to have the Python interpreter.
Okay, I got you. Okay, thanks, Santosh.
And then you just open a file and do the file operations. Right? Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.